I love that most of the weirdest adventures start with, we were bored.
You definitely need boredom. Boredom sparks creativity.
Yes.
It either is going to get you a really creative idea or a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
One of the two. And sometimes both at the same time.
And you'll have a story either way. Welcome to Words About Stuff, a podcast where I talk to awesome people about the stuff they love. I'm your host, Amy the Copywriter, and I'm joined by Lisa Livingston-Brown, teacher, writer, Corgi-Haver extraordinaire. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Amy. Nice to see you, and thank you very much for having me on your show.
Oh, my pleasure. And I like to start out with, how do we know each other? You can tell the story, and we'll see if we match up with what I remember.
Well, I met you working at Television City in Las Vegas, Nevada, over at the MGM Grand. And you were working with my husband, Bill Brown, who was doing IT and I don't know what else over there. And you guys had a whole crew over there of people that were just super cool. And so that's how I met you. And then we just we would periodically talk to each other, just, because we all have kind of the same similar interests and whatever. And I really got to talking to you the time that you helped me move all my shit, pardon my language, move all of my things over to a new school, because I was transferring schools. So we really got to talking then and discovered we had a lot of interest in stuff. And so when I was writing and you were looking at it going, hey, you should continue on with this. Hey, you should continue on with this. So I started my own Patreon. And you've been kind of doing beta reading, a little bit of copy editing on my stuff, and just basically being a cheerleader, which I totally appreciate. Thank you so much. Because without cheerleaders, we just kind of tend to go, I don't feel like writing today.
Yeah.
And that becomes a cycle of, I've got this great idea, but I don't feel like writing today.
Yeah, well, I'll do it tomorrow. No one's going to read it today.
And so that's how I know you, is from just doing that stuff.
I love that. That's exactly. I was going to add that I love seeing your Facebook posts about libraries and dragons and women in crazy dresses that are so cool.
Well, thank you. Some of those women in crazy dresses are me.
Yeah.
But yes, some of those most exotic fashion things that are just kind of crazy. It's actually part of, what's funny, you're talking about that. One of the big chunks of my book, I have a running joke with a friend of mine by the name of Celeste. And Celeste and I are kind of the ones that sort of cooked up this crazy idea, and then I just ran with it. But there's a section in my book called The Bride's Challenge. And what it is who can wear the most exotic, crazy stuff to a wedding. And it's known to even bankrupt people who are doing the challenge, because it has become so exotic and has such forms and everything that you have to do. And whoever wins, if it's not the bride, she has the ability to challenge the other person to single combat. And this is what eventually happens is combat. So
do they have to do the combat in the dress?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
That's really cool.
And
really cool.
They can do it in the dress. They can have somebody second for them. They can have somebody else do it. The bride in this case decided to have somebody else fight for her, who turns out to be one of the big bads in the story. And my character Winter has a specially designed costume for this thing. It's made of metal feathers.
So that's you getting all your inspiration of different dresses.
Yeah, and some of the more horrible ones too, because there's some really bad wedding dresses out there.
Those are equally as fun.
Yeah, especially if you look at them and go, oh dear God, what were they thinking?
Oh.
Their taste buds got shot off in the war or something.
I love that. Yes, and you've touched on do you call yourself an author?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I would.
Even though I have published a few things. Most of it out on Literotica, believe it or not.
That's perfect.
Under a pseudonym. And I've won a couple of contests there, which is what actually made me go, you know what, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really particularly like writing erotica. I just Because to me, okay, let me explain that. I was reading Fourth Wing, which is Rebecca Yaros's work. And to me, it's, and I'm going to be critical here, to me, it's derivative a little bit of all of the Anne McCaffrey books. If you've read all of her Dragonflight and Dragon Rider.
The Dragon Riders of Pern.
Yeah, it's a bit derivative in that respect. And then it's got Harry Potter vibes all over it, too, because it's a school.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I found most challenging to read, which everybody goes, ooh, it's spicy, ooh, it's wonderful. I find the sex hard to read. I flip past that. You know, to me, it's like, yeah, okay, they had wild monkey sex on the armoire and they fucking broke it. Pardon my language.
No, we can swear on here. It's all good.
Okay, okay. And they broke it, and I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, what happens next?
Yeah, they're passionate. Can we get on with the story, please?
That's probably the opposite experience of most people reading those. Most of them are skipping the other parts.
Yeah, and you know, it's just because I think I've read so much of it and wrote so much of it that I'm burnt on it. It's just like, no, I don't care.
There's only so many ways to say it, and some of them get so funny.
Yes, exactly. Some of them get really damn hilarious and unintendedly hilarious. And I think that's the other part of it that I don't find particularly interesting, is because all of a sudden it's become a comedy show.
Right.
When it was supposed to be romantic. And it's, you know, it's like, you know. There's other ways to say it. Instead of the down and dirty, we could have skipped over that whole part and it would have been fine, you know.
Yeah.
I have it in my story. Because I had to get that part out.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are parts that you write and you go, I'm never putting this in the book, but I just have to write it.
Yeah.
You know, I can say that my character is totally obsessed with the main character, and he doesn't even know why he's obsessed, because he was in love with his first wife. But I don't need to put all the wild monkey sex in there, and then I'm going to take it all out. Because, you know, I was bored with it, but it's just something I had to write and get it out of my head, you know what I mean?
Well, that's part of authoring, getting it out of your head. And your characters are doing things you don't know what's going to happen, and maybe you do. It's fun.
Yeah, and, you know, it's kind of like a train wreck sometimes. You write the train wreck and go, oh my God, now I need to slaughter a goat to get that out of my head. So...
That's the creative process.
Yeah, the creative process, I guess.
Oh, that's hilarious. Today's episode is brought to you by the smell of books. More specifically, used bookstores. Want to read Harry Potter without sending money to a transphobe? Used bookstores. Sick of Amazon's shit? Used bookstore. Trying to lower your consumption of newly produced goods, even though that should be the role of lawmakers and corporations, and it's not your problem as an individual? Used bookstore still. Want to meet someone weird and wonderful? You guessed it, used bookstore. Tell me about one used bookstore owner that is not weird and wonderful. So go find one near you. Ask the internet or ask your oldest neighbor. One of them will know. And now back to the episode. This podcast is for awesome people by awesome people. So... what makes us awesome today?
Well, there's a dog asleep on my foot.
That does make you awesome. And anytime a pet is mentioned, I will be needing a picture of the pet. I'm sure I can find one on your Facebook.
I'm sure you can find a half a dozen. Go to Bill. Oh my God. He's got a bazillion of them.
Which dog is asleep?
It's Thran. Oh. He's asleep on my foot. He's got his puppy. He's got his little bear in his mouth. And he's been chewing on it. Or he's going to just nibble. And then he just falls asleep. And then now he's awake.
He heard his name. So it's time.
Yeah, it jumped up.
A snuggle dog. Our dog is now 18 years old.
Oh my goodness.
He's an old man. He never liked to snuggle anyway. He was always like 6 inches away from us. So he still does that. So... fine.
He's basically in your aura, being 6 inches away. He's where he can see you and get to.
Yeah, and he gets mad if you're not where he wants you to be.
What type of dog is he?
Maltese.
Maltese, okay.
Yeah, he's actually...
Chihuahua Maltese.
He's a 42% Maltese, 36% Chihuahua, 13% Pug.
Wowzer.
And 7% Mutt, whatever that is. But I guess what makes me awesome today is that I gave a dog a haircut yesterday. And we both survived, and I didn't cut anyone's ears, and no one ran away, including me.
I thought you were going to say because you gave blood, because you told me that.
Well,
earlier.
yeah, I did do that too. I have this thing still on.
Oh, there you go.
I guess, yeah.
There you go. That makes you awesome too.
So I got two. I'm extra. And I still have this like teenager voice from when I was sick. It's cracking. I love it.
Oh, I'm squeaking all over the place. So
it's the
I could do Flaylon's voice for you though. I'm Flaylon. Hi.
voice acting.
I'm Flaylon. And here she comes. Here's the Flaylon. Yeah. There she is.
Hello.
Say hello. Help me assaulted by a dog. Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
they love the love attack.
Yeah, I'm being attacked by a puppy.
That's so
Here she
cute.
comes.
Well, we nailed that answer. And now I have to do this part. What makes the audience awesome is liking, subscribing, or sharing the podcast. Maybe they could comment with their favorite teacher they had.
That would be good.
I'd like to know. I have so many. I don't know if I could pick one. But we'll get to teaching soon. That's the main topic. But first, the speed round. It's whatever speed you want to go at.
Okay.
So question 1, there's 5. Question 1, what is a book that changed how you see the world?
Madeline L'Engle, A Wrinkle in Time. I was not much of a reader when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, my dad kind of locked me in the room with a copy of Anne of Green Gables and said, please read this. And I said no, because I'm a stubborn child. And then since he discovered that didn't really work for me, he just said, okay, fine, I'll read whatever. I was really kind of into just comic books and stuff like that, but I won a contest at my school. And one of the books they gave me I had a choice. And I picked Madeline L'Engle's A Wrinkle in Time because it was science fiction. And I liked science fiction. And then this is, when I was in 4th grade. And I will say that really changed my reading habits from that point on. Before that, it had been, just movies and television and the comic books. But Madeline L'Engle's A Wrinkle in Time really got me.
I'm trying to think if I must have read it. It's about time travel a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's about a young girl who is a misfit, and her dad's been kidnapped, and they have to figure out a way to travel through time in this tesseract, and there's a dragon.
Yes.
And they go to this place where everybody's the same, basically, and I think the evil entity there is trying to force everybody to be the same. And they eventually rescue their dad. So it was made into a movie here not too long ago.
Yeah, that's right. I think my son read it. It might have been in 4th grade. And then I think we watched the movie after.
I've never seen the movie. I have a picture of it, how it works in my head. So
Yeah.
But that was I would say that's the book that really got me into reading.
And when you're reading it, you're like, oh my God, I have to know the end. Is that what changed it for you? Or like there's dragons or there's time travel? Like what was it?
It was all of it. I could identify with Meg. I was having that issue where I didn't like math either. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really that she didn't like math. It was more like she knew more math than her teachers actually did. Yeah. And that's kind of how I felt at the time, that I knew the more of the math shortcuts and all of this stuff, where I had to, draw it out on a number line and all this stuff was just boring.
Yeah.
And so I could really identify with the characters in this story.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Because I like to ambush you guys with the questions, but I also like to ambush myself. So I didn't come up with an answer. I think I read books forever and ever and ever. I think I read all of the Nancy Drew books, even though they're not even good, right?
Yeah.
They're written crazy, but I want to know what happened.
There's multiple authors going on there. That's the problem.
And Hardy Boys.
Yeah, they were
same thing.
Yeah.
Trixie Belden.
Yeah, no consistency.
All the detective-y kind of things, and that's a series that I can collect. Oh, amazing, right? But I think Lord of the Flies, maybe, we probably read it in high school. I don't know if I read it before that, but just the concept of like what happens when people are left to their own devices. Like, is humanity good or evil or whatever? I think maybe that's the one I would pick. And I don't believe the answer, by the way. The answer in the book is like toward chaos, I guess. I don't think I believe that, but it was a cool story.
Yeah, just I think it's interesting that so many young people read dystopian novels. This is why the popularity that you mentioned, Lord of the Flies. So there's the Hunger Games and Divergent, and I think you could even call Twilight. But I think you could even call Twilight somewhat on the dystopian side, because it all presents such negativity in the universe. And even Harry Potter can be quite is quite dystopian in somewhat regards. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting that so many kids, that's where they start reading. They start picking up the dystopian stuff and running with it.
Oh, yeah. I loved 1984, Fahrenheit 451, all of those. Animal Farm, those kind of books. But also Lord of the Rings. You gotta have a dragon.
Yeah, Lord, you gotta have a dragon. You gotta have a dragon. Anything by Anne McCaffrey. Anything by Anne McCaffrey. Dragon Riders. I've read everything in that series. Her son is now writing, and Level Up happens to be going on this weekend, and so I'll be going to Level Up later. But her son frequently makes appearances at these conventions, so I see him every once in a while, Todd McCaffrey, and he's still writing in that same vein as his mom.
Is he in the same universe too? Like the same stories?
Yeah, same universe, same stories, same universe. So he's the only person I think that's actually licensed to do that.
Yeah.
His mom allowed him to carry that on, and so he has been. The only difference I think with his writing and Anne's writing, Anne could be kind of melodramatic. And so some of her stories were pretty tragic, but at least they had good endings.
Yeah.
His stories can be just tragic, just downright tragic. And there's been a couple of times I've read something of his and gone, I can't do this anymore. I have to put this aside for a while and go cry, and then go, I swear to God, I'm never going to read another one of these, and then I pick up another one.
Yeah, of course. I have the same thing with, I guess a book could be sad and maybe I would still feel okay, but like when a movie is like horrifying or such a trial or whatever, and then in the end it's sad, I'm like, oh no, my week is ruined.
Yeah. I hate those. I hate isekai anime. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people out there.
Ooh, what is it?
Isekai anime is the stuff where you die.
Okay.
Somehow, and you come back in some other universe. And you knew who you were before you died. So you come back, and there's one called I died and came back as a slime mold. Okay? And the evil character in the story is not really evil. She was forced into evil. She had some sort of evil spell or something cast on her, and she had this cute little dog, and so she killed the dog. And at that point in time, I went, I am never watching this again. I am never watching this again. Because something like that always happens. I don't like the isekai genre. Now, I know there's people who just absolutely love it because it is a... it's a life after death sort of story, and there's dragons and all kinds of stuff. Okay, but
sometimes they push too hard on the like pain and the trials. I can't take it.
Yeah, I can't get into that. I just can't. I told my husband, I said, I'm a Cowboy Bebop girl. I'm not a slime mold girl. Okay.
There's two types of wolves inside of us.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. And lots of books for me to think about reading again. You get A+ on the first question.
Woohoo!
And then I'll do points on the next one. It'll be chaos because it doesn't really add up to anything. But we can feel good about it. Question 2. What's the most memorable moment you've had at a convention?
Oh my God. Last year I met Iron Mouse. That was fun.
Ooh. Do I know who that is? Is that a person?
Yeah, she's a...
VTuber.
She's a VTuber, yeah. I met Iron Mouse. and that was pretty cool. I had been watching her friend Connor lives in Japan, and he's buddies with Chris Broad, who's a big time YouTuber, and so Connor is a YouTuber, and he's in Trash Taste, which I'm not sure if Trash Taste is over at Level Up right now or not, and if they are, I'm gonna go camp out there for a while. But Connor does this cool thing where he gets everybody in on a cyclothon, and um, they basically travel from any point in Japan to another point in Japan, and it usually takes them quite a while. And this year's cyclothon was to go from Amori Prefecture all the way down to Okinawa on a bike for about 2 weeks, and it was to raise money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. Iron Mouse has a serious immune deficiency, and it prevents her from doing anything outside of her home, which is why she's a VTuber. Yeah. And so that was really cool getting to meet her, even though she was VTuber and in her VTuber form. That was cool. Being called everybody's cosplay grandma, that was kind of funny. I'll take that one as a one of my top 10. Yeah. I went to one in Denver one time and got to meet the guys from Mystery of Science Theater 3000. Yay. And that was the year that Francis Ford Coppola brought his trailer for Dracula. Mm-hmm. And I was really big into vampires at that time, so I was like, ooh. Oh, I got to tell you about the guy who was walking through the halls at the con with a velvet pillow and an eggplant on top of the velvet pillow. And he had people out in front of him going, hear ye, make room for Prince, I don't know what it was, Prince whatever his name was, the eggplant of the universe. It was just crazy. And you could go to the bar and buy a pan-galactic gargle blaster if you wanted one. And, just stuff like that.
I love that stuff. I love people being weird.
I do too. I just love it. It's fun.
They're being, what would the kids call it now? Whimsical?
I suppose whimsical, yeah. I met my husband at a convention.
Really?
So that definitely hits one of the big ones, yeah. I met him through an online bulletin board, and he invited me to go to SoonerCon with him, because we both lived in Oklahoma at the time. And I said, sure. And so it was June 6th, 1992, I believe. And he said, come on, go to the convention with me. And so I met him at the con, and he was a nice guy, and he was sweet. And I almost blew it, because here I am trying to make myself, puff myself up, look like the too educated girl, And I said, well, I speak Japanese. And he says, oh, really? Say something in Japanese. I thought for a second. I said, Benja wa doku desu ka? And he looked at me so funny, and he said, you just asked me where the bathroom was. And I went, oh, God. Oh, did I ever step in it? He said, my mother's Japanese. I speak Japanese. And I went, this guy's never going to ask me out again. Turns out, about an hour later after he dropped me off at home, he said, hey, you want to go have dinner tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, it only matters how you recover. It doesn't matter that you're weird.
So, and that was kind of the start of the now 30-some-odd-year adventure that we've been on together.
Oh, that's so cool. And that, like, the first date at the Comic-Con, you probably have something in common.
Yeah, we definitely had something in common, because we could sit there and be nerds together, totally. We were both, geeking out, because he's a big Star Trek fan. Mm-hmm. He's a huge Star Trek fan. And we could sit there and just, talk about Star Trek episodes all day long and argue about, things in Wrath of Khan, and, just go on and on and on. And he's like, you know what? I never knew a girl that could talk like this, that do so much about science fiction stuff.
I'm not like other girls. I'm going to debate you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will debate you, I'm like, reason why Ricardo Montalban was the perfect con. But anyway.
The dissertation begins. Well, I would say that's probably a memorable con. 4 million points for that one. Question number 3. Top 3 reasons to get a corgi, or should we leave them all for you?
You know, corgis are sweet dogs, but they are also very high maintenance and they are judgmental. My Liam, he's my service dog. He's a Pembroke Welsh Corgi. The other two are cardigans. I call him my little goth boy because he bites his own nails.
Yeah.
He's got a ring of coal around his eyes. And if he were human, he'd be over in the corner with a little black beret on, smoking a French Gauloises and reading Sartre.
Yes.
I mean, he's that type of a dog. He thinks he's a cat. He even acts like a cat. Um, Corgis are not for everybody.
No.
I mean, they're damn cute. They are damn cute. I will say that. They are damn cute, but they are high maintenance. They require you to get them out there and exercise them. They require mental stimulation, or they're going to chew your furniture. I've had Australian Shepherds before, and so all the herding groups, all the herding dogs, they're smart little devils, and you have to keep them mentally stimulated. We have those little talking buttons that we've been trying to teach them to use, and they've been doing it. I mean, I would say Thran is probably the most adept at it. And he's the one that will punch the button and go out.
I've always wondered if that's real. Like, I believe it's real because, of course, some animals can learn
I know
things.
it's real.
But on TikTok, I'm always like, they're just editing that in. So yours can push out and want to go out?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I had an Australian Shepherd that I swear to God, she was right there at about 3 to 5 years old. She knew, she had a heck of a vocabulary. She was also a service dog. She was one of the smartest dogs I think I've ever had. She was also one of the ones I had to watch very carefully because she can get into stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other thing is they really will get into the stuff. They'll be investigating everything. My Corgi Daisy, who is been deceased for about a year now, could hear a gnat fall out of a tree 3 blocks away.
And tell you about it?
And tell me about it in depth with, a dissertation level level of barking about it.
Yeah.
They're good little watchdogs. I will say that. They're good little watchdogs because anything that changes, anything that moves, anything that they hear, they're going to bark at. But at the same token, they're extremely good for service work. They are hard to train. I will say that. They can be difficult to train because they're stubborn.
Yeah.
And they have definite ideas about how things should be done. And they will let you know that. But Liam's ability to smell the changes in my hormones in my body when I'm having an issue with my blood sugar is just fabulous.
Yeah.
It's almost spooky that he can actually beat the machines to let me know there's something wrong.
That's like magic. I don't understand how that can be.
Yeah, he gets right in my face and tells me, "You got a problem. Hey, you got a problem. Hey, you got a problem." And he starts nudging on me, and wherever body part he can reach, he'll start nudging on me, telling me, "Hey, you got a problem. You got a problem. You need to wake up. You got a problem." So, they're smart. They're fun. They're a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody wanting to get a Corgi, be prepared to have one of the more loyal animals that you've probably ever had, one of the smartest animals that you've ever had, but one that's going to require you to do the maintenance because they shed all over everything anyway. I tell people that just dog hair's my glitter. I don't care.
Yeah. At home, we'd be eating and there'd be dog, and my mom would say the dog hair's free. No charge.
Same thing here.
Charge.
No charge. That just pick it out. It's not going to hurt you. But that they are fabulous little dogs. They are sweet as the day is long.
And they're herding dogs too? Like a sheep? What would they have herded?
Cows, believe it or not. They are small and fast, and they are, because the bobbed tail, usually, they can get underneath a cow and nip at its heels and get it to move. And that's how they were actually bred to herd cattle.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. Okay, so then let's see. Well, you did a number. So now 5 stars for that answer. Number 4. What is the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
I would think it would be about the time that my husband dragged me to an Ethiopian restaurant in Dallas, Texas. And I don't know what it was I ate.
Oh no.
Um,
Oh no. What did it taste like?
it was some sort of, I want to say it was like venison or something, but it wasn't venison. It was some exotic meat.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. If I Googled it, I could probably tell you even what the name of the dish is and what it was supposed to have been, because it's one of the more famous ones that they're known for. And he says, "Well, we'll have to try it again because maybe it was just the restaurant." And I'm like, "Yeah, because it was kind of scary."
Oh no.
But I said I've never had much disagree with me that bad.
Yeah.
But that was bad. I couldn't eat it.
I feel bad for people who their first experience with sushi, they get like food poisoning and then they won't eat it anymore. Because I'm like, oh no, you're missing out.
It's the texture of sushi too that can weird some people out. And I get that. I'm a texture eater myself. And if something is slimy, if something feels strange and gritty and slightly, like you're eating paste, then I get it. I get why they would not like it. There's some fish I can't eat. I mean, I can't eat mackerel to save my life because I just can't deal with the smell.
Yeah.
I will happily, go to town on tuna. I even like some of the other stuff like shrimp and, I think one of the most exotic ones I had was uni, which is sea urchin.
Oh, nice.
And that was good. I like mentaiko. I mean, that's the little seed, like fish eggs.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really good. And if it's prepared right, it's not icky.
I think calamari is like, it's too chewy for me. I'm like, what is this, just rubber?
If it's cooked right, if it's cooked right, it's not chewy.
See, that's the problem. I've always only had chewy ones.
That's the problem. If it's cooked right, it's not chewy. It should be fine. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem with octopus or any like calamari or anything like that, is that if you overcook it, it gets to that chewy point, and it should be in little bitty pieces too, so the chewiness is not so much. And if you've had the octopus takoyaki, there we go, takoyaki. Those are usually served so hot that you burn your mouth eating them, but the octopus inside should not be chewy. It should not be cooked to the right temperature, and that way it'll just go down nice and smooth, and you don't realize you're eating octopus.
I'm gonna have to try that. And hot temperature is one thing, but hot spice, oh my god. We ate, I don't know what it was. It was some kind of food, and then they gave you a head of lettuce because you would eat the food and then you would like take bites of the lettuce so that you could survive.
Was this Korean?
I don't know, because someone else got us the food. I have no idea what it was, but it was spicy. And then you would eat the lettuce, and then spicy and eat the lettuce. And I was like, I don't need to have so much turmoil during a meal.
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem with spicy going in is it's usually spicy going out too.
I don't need to experience that either.
We don't need to experience it twice. Thank you very much.
Ghost pepper. And like, I'm already spice intolerant or something, like mild Taco Bell sauce is too much for me. So I can't go to the head of lettuce food straight from there. There would need to be baby steps.
Bill likes to post things like guess the food on his Facebook, because we always go to these exotic places around town and try to find things that are different to eat. Our latest kick has been Korean, so we've been experimenting with eating some of the more spicier dishes from Korean food. I really like the kimchi pancake. Stuff like that. But it is spicy. It's spicy. You can make it even spicier if you add enough gochujang to it. So
it's cool.
Which is something Bill does. He just piles it on. I'm like, how the hell do you eat that? But anyway,
I think the taste buds eventually get used to it, or they're all gone.
I've come to the conclusion they just get melted off.
That could be.
They become slag after a point in time.
And then you need it, and now you're back for more.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's addictive. It is very addictive.
Perfect score. I guess that's a Michelin star for that question. Number 5. If cost and reality weren't a factor, What business would you be running, or what would you be doing?
Oh, that's an easy answer.
Okay, I thought you would have an answer.
Do you mind if I plug
Go for
a
it.
moment? This is a plug, a total plug. Okay. So, I am working on a project called the Archaeology Department. The Archaeology Department is going to be, I believe it will eventually be a brick and mortar store. But you know me, I love books. I collect books, obviously. I have a massive collection of books. I have actually over 5,000 here at the house. As a matter of fact, we have no furniture, we just have books. With stuff piled on top of it so you can actually sit down. I came to the conclusion that there was a need for something spectacular to get people interested in reading physical books. Now, people like to read physical books. They still like to read physical books. I mean, Kindle is great and all that nifty, but people still like the touch of a book and the smell of a book and the smell of that glue of the binding of a book. And I want people to have an experience with enjoying what it's like to walk into a mystery. And so I'm creating a thing, like I said, I'm creating this thing called the Archaeology Department. My Substack right now has a story running on it. I've started writing it about the origin story of how this fantastical research library came into being and how people can participate in the research by coming to the store. And so you're going to hear more about it on my Patreon when I get my Patreon back.
That sounds so fun. Like, I'm now picturing an escape room slash experience slash everything I ever want.
Yeah, that's kind of what the idea is to bring that experience back to life. A long time ago, there was a store in Oklahoma City called Starwind. And if you're from Oklahoma, you probably have been there at one point in time. It was down on Classen Avenue. You walked in. There were two huge torches on either side of the door. And you walked into this vestibule. And inside the vestibule was this big statue. And they would decorate it for, different holidays or whatever. It probably was an aquarium store at one time. And this is where the aquarium stuff sat. But they utilized the space beautifully. And you'd walk in and it was dark. And it was a bit creepy because they were playing some, weird Tangerine Dream music or something, like the Phaedra album. And they had jewelry. They weren't a modern day rock shop like some of these mystical and occult stores are now, where you come in and they buy a bunch of crystals. No. They had jewelry, they had wands, they had artwork. This is where I found real Musgrave for the first time, which is all the little pocket dragons figures. They had a bookstore on one side. On one side was nothing but a bookstore. The owner had did a thriving business in running people's astrological charts and then interpreting them. But you could buy esoterica books from, anything from UFOs to the Maleficus Maleficarum. Just all kinds of strange and wonderful things of all these mystical topics. And I mean, you're talking some real Gnostic texts too. There was real research stuff stuck in there too. Just a real interesting combination of stuff. They would do all kinds of interesting things. If you purchased something from them, they had special ways to wrap it. I mean, so it was quite the experience to walk into this store. Unfortunately, they're gone. They've been gone for quite a while now, but I still remember this store. Yeah. And I thought that's the way you do a bookstore, is you make it an experience and you put a story behind it and you make it unique. So I'm putting this together. I already have some of the banking stuff. It's a labor of love, so it's taking time.
Of course.
And I'm bootstrapping, so whenever I have a couple of $100, I throw it at this project. But I want to do maybe a Kickstarter to get it going. But this is my labor of love. Yes. This is what I would do if I was not teaching. And at the same time, because I love books and because I'm a reading teacher, I want I want an educational edge to this too. I want this also not to just be some weird metaphysical bookstore.
Right.
I want it, I'm going to carry popular titles too. I'll carry, Fourth Wing, whatever, all the romantic-y stuff. But at the same time, I want it to be a destination unto itself. People come in to look at the Harry Potter ceiling. People come in to, participate in a book study. People come in to, read a book to their child. I mean, all those types of things. And like I said, I want to make it a destination. And I haven't figured out where the heck this place in Las Vegas would actually be.
Right.
I would say downtown, but there's already a couple of bookstores downtown, and that would not.
Are there like little bookstores? Because I only knew about Amber Unicorn bookstore.
Amber Unicorn's gone.
I know. I thought that was the last one.
No, there's some indie bookstores around. There's the Copper Cat, which is down off of Horizon Ridge. There's one over off of Tropicana and Eastern, tucked into the corner there by back behind Wells Fargo and next to the Burlington. That's a used bookstore. There's one up north that caters strictly to science fiction. I've never been up there, but I've called them and talked to them a couple times. But those are all used bookstores. I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to give. Yeah. I want to give Barnes and Noble a run for its money.
Let's do it.
Because you can walk into a Barnes and Noble and find a book. Yay. Okay, you found a book. Go home. You can order a book off of Amazon. Yay, good for you. You're just going to read the book. Okay. You come to my store, you're in for an experience of what it's like to enter a research library and become one of the research fellows of this library.
Oh my gosh.
To participate in the construction of the Archaeology Department.
Oh, that would be so cool. I'm picturing... Have you seen Castlevania?
I have not, but I've heard
Okay,
about
it's
it.
great, and there's all these things, but there's a period where they're in a library. Like, it's an underground library of, like, every history of every monster or whatever's going on, and they're just doing research for, like, 2 episodes, and I loved it. They're gonna hunt monsters or whatever they're doing, and they're, like, looking through this, they're like, ooh, look at this! Ooh, look at this! I was like, that's where I want to be. I don't want to fight the monsters necessarily.
We want to research the monsters, exactly. Well, the story is actually based on a real thing that happened in college. A friend of mine and I were bored out of our minds in the laboratory one day, and our professor, who was a really nice lady by the name of Dr. Crutchwitz, had a bunch of bones in a box that somebody had given her. And we got bored, and so we started stacking the bones together. And then we took all the bones that we'd stacked together in a circle, and with cow horns and stuff like this on it. And there was an empty display case downstairs on the Loeffler building at Oklahoma City University. And we put all of the bones in order in the display case, and then came up with a story to explain it. So this became Mumford. And Mumford we put a Santa Claus hat on him because it was close to Christmas. And then I came up with this wild story about how he and I had gone to darkest Africa, because, my last name is Livingston. And how we discovered this creature in darkest Africa, but we could only bring home its bones. We couldn't bring home a live specimen. And how we were, had done all this research on this creature, thinking it was maybe an Ouroboros. I wrote the whole, a research monograph for it and posted the research monograph on the glass of this display case. Well, my professor got such a kick out of it, she called the press. Oh, cool. So she called the university press, and my colleague there, my friend there, ended up doing an interview with the press about it. Oh, it was people's ability to believe. P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. Okay, I got so many questions about how I went to Africa and discovered this thing that I thought, okay, well, I'm going to file this away in Lisa's, prankster days stuff. But this, the story I'm writing is based on just this incident, and we're just going to run with that.
I love that most of the weirdest adventures start with, we were bored, and it goes from that. So we have to continue to sometimes be bored. That's something I believe in. Sometimes you need to be bored.
You definitely need boredom. Boredom sparks creativity.
Yes.
It always, it either is going to get you a really creative idea or into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
One of the two. And sometimes both at the same time.
And you'll have a story either way.
Yeah, we did all kinds of crazy stuff in that lab because Dr. Crutchwitz was very accommodating to us, and it was an embryology class because I actually have a bachelor's degree in science and not education. Surprise, surprise. The problem is my vision was not that great, and trying to look through a binocular scope was really messing with me, so I couldn't really see some of the forms that were on the slides. And so what I was having to do was show that I knew what I was what she was referring to by drawing it. And so one day I got a hold of an expo marker and was in the laboratory on the whiteboard, and so I drew the embryology of what a mermaid egg would look like. And Dr. Barber, who was head of the department, came in. She says, "That's too beautiful to erase. I'm just going to leave it there for a while."
Oh, that's the highest praise.
Yeah. So, and Dr. Crutchwitz saw it, and she says, "Okay, you do know what you're talking about. Okay, it's fine." Those were the things that we used to do. I mean, we go down to the coast, grab a couple of stingrays, bring them back in a sack, and dissect them. Just crazy stuff we do because you're bored. This is what we do when we're bored. We go find dead things on the beach and bring them back and dissect
Why
them.
not? That's awesome.
Anyway,
I love those stories. Those are great. Yes. And you got, what was the last one? A light year's worth of points on number 5.
okay.
So flying colors on the speed round.
Woohoo!
Who could have guessed it? We talked for longer than the time of one episode. So tune in next week for the thrilling conclusion where we actually get to the main topic of teaching. If you are looking for more Lisa, check out her Substack at Lisa Livingston-Brown. It is called Stardust Imaginarium at the top. Or check out the food adventures of Lisa and Bill on Two Old Otaku. That's their YouTube channel.
Two Old Otaku is Bill and I's YouTube channel, where we go around to all the Japanese restaurants in Las Vegas and show you what the food looks like and what the atmosphere looks like and what we thought. And we have a couple of little shorts on right now. We're going to have some other long form video coming soon.
And we end every episode of Words About Stuff with an exceptional outro I haven't thought of yet. Until I do, we're stealing. As Willy Wonka always says, the suspense is terrible. I hope it will last. See you next week.